Hey guys, how you doing? Now today we got the Google Pixel Watch 3. Now on the one side I got the 41mm Bluetooth version, and on the other side I got the 45mm Bluetooth version. And today we will do a little size comparison. Now of course we will also talk a little bit about the specs and the price, but the main focus of this video will be the display and the amount of information that you get and what the differences are and how they look off of my wrist and on my wrist. First of all, I'm so glad that we finally got two different sizes of the Google Pixel Watch 3. Now the older Pixel Watch 2 was only available in 41mm, which was way too small for my wrist and probably many others. So here we have the 41mm Wi-Fi version, and this one will cost you right around 400 euros over here in Germany, whereas the larger 45mm version will cost you a little bit more. Now this one will cost you 450 euros. So the price gap between them two isn't actually that big. Of course, you can also get these two as an LTE version, but they are much more expensive. Each size will be an additional 100 euros. At least there are no price differences between the different colors that you can get. The 41mm version is available in party silver with a cream white strap that I have right here. You can get it in a champagne gold case with a hazel strap. You can get it in all black or even with a rose strap and the party silver case. But the 45mm version is only available in cream white, all black and hazel with a matte hazel case. By the way, I will leave all of the links to the product down below in the description. So first let's take a look at each watch and how they look off of my wrist. Then we will compare and talk about the major differences, and at the end I will give you my final thoughts on which one is the best for you. So right here we have the two different sizes, and if you look at them from afar, you probably don't really see a size difference. It's more obvious if you put them right next to each other on your wrist. So spec-wise, the 41mm and the 45mm version are very different. They may have the same height with 12.3mm, but all of the other measurements are different. The 45mm version is wider and longer, so we got a 45 by 45mm smartwatch with a 1.4-inch LTPO AMOLED display, and you do notice a size difference when you're wearing both of these watches. If it comes to the 41mm version, right here you have a 41 by 41mm smartwatch with only a 1.2-inch LTPO AMOLED display, and I barely feel it when I'm wearing it, whereas the 45mm is a little bit more noticeable. I mean, it's pretty easy to slide them underneath your jacket or a long sleeve t-shirt, since you got some very curvy smartwatches with the Google Pixel Watch 3. I also don't think that either of these watches would get in your way when you're doing some gym workouts or other sports in general. And it also didn't bother me during the night. I mean, 41 and 45mm aren't super large smartwatches if you want to compare them to some others like the Huawei Watch 4 or the Apple Watch Ultra. Something else that I also didn't notice is the weight of these two watches. Even though there is a significant weight difference between these two, I still think both of them are pretty light with just 31 and 37 grams. Of course, you also have a physical button on these watches, but despite of the overall size differences, the buttons on these two watches have the same size. Now before we get to see how these watches compare on my wrist, let's quickly talk about the different straps. So of course both come with the same quick release feature, which makes it super easy to swap out the bands. Now the bigger difference is the size of the bands. So if you get the 41mm version, you will get the smaller band size with 130 to 175, or the 165 to 210mm, and if you get the 45mm version, you will get the larger bands, which is either 150 to 185 or 165 to 215 millimeters. So overall not such a big difference, but there's still one thing that you have to know, and that is that the 20mm strap of the 41mm version also fits on the Google Pixel Watch 2, and the strap of the Google Pixel Watch 3 is a little bit wider with 22mm, and you can only use it for the Google Pixel Watch 3. Also you have to know that there isn't something like a lock-to-lock size. At least I wouldn't know where to start the measurement. So let's talk about each size and how they look on my wrist. Now for context, you have to know that I have 19cm wrists, which is about 7.5 inches. Now personally, for my wrist size, I would definitely prefer the bigger 45mm version, as it fits and looks much better on my wrist. The smaller 41mm version kind of disappears on my wrist, which was always my biggest problem with the Google Pixel Watch 2 from last year. Of course, it's a preference thing, and I would always recommend you guys to go to the store and try them on before you buy them. But anyways, I would say if you have a wrist similar to mine or anything between 18 to 21 centimeters, I would definitely go with the bigger 45mm version. And if your wrist is smaller, somewhere in the range of 13 to 17 centimeters, I would definitely go with a smaller 41mm one. Next up, let's talk about the displays and how much you actually get to see on them. Now first you have to know that both displays are bigger than last year's version. The 41mm has a 10% larger screen and the 45mm version has a 40% larger screen. But what about the amount of text that you get on these two watches? So let's start with your emails, your notifications and your messages. It's probably the biggest difference between these two watches. Of course, I made sure that I choose the same text size on both watches, and you more or less get an extra 6 to 7 words on your display, which is a whole lot. That's basically an extra message that you are missing out on the 41mm version. I also noticed that your tiles are a little bit different. On a quick start tile for your workouts, you have double the workouts to choose from. Instead of 3, you get 6 on your main display, and if you click on more, you basically have 1 extra workout that you can see on the bottom end. In your calendar or in your daily notifications, you have 1 extra line of text. In your weather app, you get to see more. Instead of the next 3 hours, you get to see the weather of the next 4 hours. Or instead of a 3-day weather forecast, you will see a 4-day weather forecast. I also checked out Google Maps and you once again have more to see. Right here, I wouldn't say it's a lot more, but you still get to see a little bit more of your area. And I guess I can go on and on like this, like in your phone feature and in your contacts book or in basically all of your system settings. You always get a little bit more information on the 41mm version of the Pixel Watch 3. And I think it's pretty interesting since other brands have different sizes but with the same amount of text, like for example all of the Garmin Sport and smartwatches. And guys, there we have it. That's the Google Pixel Watch 3. Now in another video I checked out all of the features, the battery life and more. Just click right here to get right to the video. And I guess with that one being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace.